Mic check, mic check, mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, mic check, mic check, 1, 2. I guess we busting back tonight. Chilleee Live. Thank y'all for tuning in to the NC Beat on tonight.
Yeah, who I'm taking shots at? Bitch, I'm busting you. I'm talking to that same bitch that crashed that boat on 42. It's a shame we're here today. Truth be told, it's cause of you. Couldn't control your little feelings. Look what dick is costing you. It was all good, yeah, about a week ago. Shout out Bobby's murder, but this bitch is really cheap. If I was the one with the gun, you would've heard about a murder. Said her back was turned, but that girl know who really hurt her. Never been a jealous friend, and the people really know it. If you would've kept it solid, then I would've been told it. See, I really thought I knew you thought that you would keep it G. If you wanna talk gangster, bitch, I'm really from the street.
What up, y'all? Let me know where you watching from tonight.
Mic check, put a muzzle on your friends, all acting like some crash dummies. Got my chain snatched? Damn, here you go lying. Yeah, A-list celeb, you doing too much trying. Where I get this money from? Bitch, you knew I was a hustler. The way she did 1501, shoulda knew I couldn't trust you. Protect me, huh? But you send the threats to me. Damn, I thought that you was silent, now the joke's on me. Damn, I ain't wanna have to do this, but you steady shooting shots. Dad said if I spoke, that a sex tape could drop. Was never supposed to be against each other, this what y'all made it. I'ma still live it up, yeah, I know y'all really hate it. Sucking dick behind my back, who really on their knees? You an overachiever, all you do is succeed. Claiming you a pimp, huh? But you slipping on your Mac, and are you lying to your label? Do they really know what happened? Who shot you? Cause you know it wasn't me. I was 10 toes down whenever you had beef. It's a goddamn shame. All you had to do is clear your best friend name. All you had to do was keep it real and stay the same. But you switched up on me for the money and the fame. Who shot you?
Who shot you?
I thought a bitch from Barrett County said something.
Who shot you, Megan?
You an H-Town hottie though, huh?
Megan, who shot you?
You and everybody faces you be talking down on. Stop playing with me, bitch. And it ain't.
Who shot you, Megan? Megan, who shot you?
This the NC beat. I got a freak elite like Pablo P. 90-year-old and DO4 is where the Charlotte leaks. 252 for the Greenville. Hat on blue for the Tar Heels. I can edge them on this paradox like crack foes, like the locks. We knock bolts and the knots. Now I know when he talks how I can't even announce my parents' script to reach the dock. Cause when this ball point to close, my mental travel hellish spots like astro projection. Cannot conjoint the two of us if there is no connection. But you can go section. The NCB, the NCB. The NCB, the NCB, whoa, whoa.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, I love you, Mr. Jackson, for real, I do.
I almost got away. If it wasn't for that goddamn Gerald Jackson and the NC Beat mob, I almost got away. Got to be more careful.
You got to be more careful when you come around here to these NCB streets. Oh my Lord. It's developing news in the Tory Lanez case on tonight as we come live on the air. Good God from Zion. Listen, I'd apologize about last night. I had a little technical difficulties and then it got frustrated. Then it took me a nap. And was going to wake up at 7:30, but it seems like the Lord wanted me to wake up at 3 in the morning, and we didn't do the show. And I was trying to edit the streams, and it seems like I forgot to save. So I don't know what's going on with these computers and these things that's going on. We got some good chargers on tonight because we're going to need it. Because tonight, y'all already know, I'm for wrongful convicted people. Y'all know what I do. I help families get justice. I love it. And I'm jumping in this Tory Lanez story because the evidence is very clear. And you may disagree with me on tonight. But like I tell y'all, every time you come to the NCB, I'm going to be the prosecutor. I'm going to bring the case and you let me know if, this case, should have went the way it went. Now, Tory Lanez's bodyguard and driver the night of July 12, 2020, the night Megan Thee Stallion said that Tory Lanez shot her. He has filed a statement with the California Court of Appeals in Tory Lanez's case. He stated in his statement that he wanted to give this statement in trial, but the prosecutors was not ready to cross-examine him. He would have been a witness for the defense, because on that night, he said that Kelsey had a gun in her hand. And when Tory saw it, he ran to he ran to Kelsey to try to unarm her, to try to keep her from shooting all three of them possibly. Now, this was a heated night. Kelsey found out that her best friend was sleeping with her man while she was in Texas with COVID. Because Kelsey was in LA. They were all in LA, but she had to go back to Texas for some stuff. And she caught COVID while she was over there, so she didn't go back. And then that's when Tory Lanez and Megan started hanging out, and he started doing that quarantine stuff. Y'all remember that? But anyways, I have a concern because a black man, I don't care if he's from the United States or he's from Canada, I feel as though because he was convicted in this American's justice system, he deserves justice. I'm going to tell you why. Megan Thee Stallion told cops on the night of July 12th, 2020, that she stepped on glass. And from the time that she stepped out of that vehicle till she got to an officer, and from the time she was back in the ambulance all the way to the hospital, at the hospital, she stated that she stepped on glass. Then she comes out and she comes up with this story that she didn't want to tell the police that someone had just shot her because of what has been going on in the media with cops shooting unarmed black men. And she carried that lie on. She carried that lie on. She carried that lie on. The emergency room doctor that saw her that night said that her wounds consisted of glass cuts. Okay. But then a doctor who Rock Nation donates money to and who Megan donates money to and is advertised on their websites examined Megan's leg and claimed that he took out bullet fragments, but the bullet fragments can't be found. Neither can the gun that was used in the case cannot be found. And I'm working on a story because I have the trial transcripts, which is what an appeals court use when they determine if a defendant deserves a new trial, the evidence does not constitute the charges, or it'd be thrown out. They read the transcript. They solely and heavily rely on court transcripts, and the North Carolina Beat has those transcripts. We have the preliminary hearing, which I'm gonna bring up tonight, show you a little bit, read tonight. And you also have Megan's testimony, which she's a liar. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. And you have Kelsey's testimony, who in court testified, who in court in the middle of her testimony asked the judge for immunity because she knew before she walked her ass into Los Angeles courthouse that she had that gun. That's why she picked up that phone call when Tory called from jail, because ain't no way you just shot my best friend and I'm picking up your phone call. She picked up that phone call because she knew she pulled out the gun and she wanted to stay close to Tory and she wanted to be in his ear and she wanted to talk to him and she wanted to make it seem like that ain't nothing gonna happen. She had to keep him cool and him, making, nurturing him and making sure he good while he also make sure she's good, because everybody at that house that night, from EJ to Kelsey, from Tory, all testified, not Tory, but EJ, Kelsey, and all other people that's in this situation testified that Megan was drunker than a Cooter Brown at Kylie's house that night. And to sum the whole case up, Megan was mad because Tory told Kelsey that they had been fucking. And according to Jaquan, the driver of the vehicle, the man that has to get these people to their safety, the man that hears everything but don't know nothing, says in a sworn affidavit that he should have gave that trial, but because the crooked ass LA County prosecutors claimed they wasn't ready to cross-examine him was the reason he was never called. He said in his statement that he got a call. Matter of fact, we're gonna pull up his statement. And we're gonna pull up his statement. I just want to show y'all because I have the trial transcripts. All the stuff that they didn't want to show on TV and broadcast. We have everything that the lady that sat up there that typed it all up. We got what she typed. Public records, baby. But you got to pay for this. Okay, let me put this up here because I want to read to you what Jaquan said in his statement. And this is from T with Tia. Okay, let me take this thing down. Thank y'all for y'all dollars tonight. It's $1 to get in. Send your cash after it's GJ, the CEO. All right. So let's read what he says. He says, now this was in the Court of Appeal of the State of California, 2nd Appellate District Division 3. Daystar Peterson, petitioner, appellate, Superior Court of Los Angeles. Now, his attorneys is Unite the People. Let me tell you a little bit about who Unite the People is. Unite the People surrounds themselves around, well, it's individuals who have been wrongfully convicted of crimes that they did not commit. And they help people on their appeals that are wrongfully convicted. They take their cases and they help fight for them, just like the ACLU and the Innocent Projects and all those organizations. Unite the People do it, but they are former convicts, not shall I say former convicts, but wrongfully convicted individuals. And Tory Lanez was donating to the organization to help in helping people who have been wrongfully convicted of crimes that they did not commit. So the organization that he donates to help other people who are in jail, who are in prison for crimes they did not commit, this organization is helping him. And you say, hey, Shatana Maseko. Oh, I felt that I got chills. Ain't it a blessing how God will use the thing that you bless that you never know that you needed? See, all right, let me let that go. 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 Okay, but listen. He said, now this was December the 5th of this year. Affidavit of Jaquan Smith. I, Jaquan Smith, depose and state as follows. My name is Jaquan Smith. My address is blocked out. I am over the age of 18 years and I'm fully competent to testify. I have firsthand knowledge of the facts in question that took place on July 12, 2020. That is the basis of the above cited proceedings. Okay, I need y'all to follow along with me on tonight. Okay. He says, I was the driver and bodyguard of Mr. Daystar Peterson, who is better known as Tory Lanez, in July of 2020. Mr. Peterson has been known to me for 7 years. At the time of the incident, I had worked for Mr. Peterson for 3 years. He has not only been my employee, but I also consider him to be a personal friend. On July 12th, 2020, I was asked to drive Mr. Peterson to the home of Kylie Jenner's, where Miss Megan Pete and Kelsey Harris were present. Now, Kelsey Harris is the former president, the former assistant and best friend of Megan Thee Stallion. Okay. Mr. Peterson was at Miss Jenner's home for approximately 2 hours when I received the call to come pick up Miss Pete and Miss Harris. Miss Pete, Miss Harris, and myself left Miss Jenner's home, but I was asked by Miss Pete to return because she stated that she had forgotten a shoe. When we arrived at Miss Jenner's home at this time, Miss Harris stayed in the car while Miss Pete exited. Miss Pete did not enter the home at this time as she went around the back to the pool area where Mr. Peterson was located. Number 9, both Miss Pete and Mr. Peterson returned to the car after a few minutes. Miss Pete was bickering, but I was unsure of the exact words she was saying. She seemed upset. The 4 of us left Miss Jenner's residence. 10. As I began to drive, Miss Pete started to fight with Mr. Peterson. She started it. Now, he's letting you know that she's the one that instigated this. She's already drunk because EJ said she was drunk. I have his trial transcript. As I began to drive, Miss Pete started to fight with Mr. Peterson. They were going back and forth. I remember Mr. Peterson saying to Miss Pete that he was going to tell Miss Harrison what was going on. I do not remember what street we were on, but Miss Pete asked me to stop the vehicle. I did as she asked, and Miss Pete went to sit on a nearby bus stop. Mr. Peterson went to speak with Miss Pete. After about 2 minutes, they returned to the car, and I began driving again. Miss Pete started the argument again, and Miss Harris asked what was going on. Mr. Peterson told her that he and Miss Pete have been dating and intimate. Miss Harris was upset by this, and she and Mr. Peterson had been dating in the same manner prior to any relationship with Miss Pete. Miss Pete and Miss Harris began fighting. Now, with Jaquan saying that they were fighting in the car, then he pulled over. We're going to get to that. That corroborates what this only eyewitness to the incident told prosecutors. He told prosecutors that it was women fighting. Okay. And he said that there was a man that ran over and a gunshot went off. Okay. Now let's get down to the bottom right here. I pulled over to stop them. Miss Pete and Miss Harris both got out of the vehicle and continued to fight, both verbally and physically. I broke up this fight and was pulling Miss Pete toward the back of the car. I saw Miss Harris with a gun in her hand. Miss Harris, which is Kelsey Harris, which is the best friend and former assistant of Megan Thee Stallion. Okay. Kelsey Harris, you see her all the way to the left. That's Megan Thee Stallion beside her. To the right, in the middle, Tory Lanez, and to the far right, Jaquan Smith, who is the driver, who is the affidavit we are reading. Okay. Somebody said not the former president. Oh, shit. Listen, y'all are the prosecutors. I need y'all to be open-minded about this. Listen to what I'm telling you so I can tell you what she's saying and you can see the evidence as it is presented. Okay. Okay. Now, I broke up this fight and was pulling Miss Pete toward the back of the car. I saw Miss Harris with a gun in her hand. Mr. Peterson ran from behind Miss Pete and myself towards Miss Harris. Mr. Peterson and Miss Harris began struggling as Mr. Peterson tried to unarm Miss Harris. I was still pulling Miss Pete and did not see who shoot the weapon. I was lucky I was not harmed. And in my opinion, Miss Pete was also fortunate. The whole incident, I'm sorry, y'all. This thing is a little blurry for me up here. The whole incident happened so quickly. Within just a couple of minutes, I wanted to present this evidence during Mr. Peterson's trial, but was prevented from doing so as the district attorney was not ready to cross-examine me. And later, they did not call me due to the holidays in the court schedule. I believe I should have been allowed to present this evidence at trial. Now, some of you may say, well, yeah, he out there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gerald, he's the bodyguard of Tory Lanez. He's been doing it for 3 years prior to this incident. Of course, he's going to write a statement. I understand what you're saying. I definitely get it for y'all to have those thoughts. But you can't take away from the fact that he was the driver that night. He was literally in the car when all of it was going down. So if Megan want to make allegations that Jaquan was paid off, you're going to have to show some receipts. Otherwise, that's just political talk. That's political talk. All she's doing is politically talking. She's making it seem like that because a man that was in the car that was driving, that was responsible for Mr. Lanez and Megan and Kelsey to get them home safe that night, she wants to take away from his credibility. First of all, you was drunker than a Cooter Brown. You was drunk. So how the fuck do you even remember anything? The way EJ described how he had to tell you, come on, Megan, it's time to go. Because you doing too much. But unless you gonna put up, shut up. If you ain't got no proof to show that Jaquan was paid off, shut up. Because in the court of law, you gonna have to prove that. You got to prove that his affidavit was a paid affidavit. Because if you're not, the Court of Appeals is going to look at his shit as the truth. Because he was the driver that night. And when he stated that he was pulling Megan to the back of the car, remember when Megan said that she was walking towards the back of the vehicle? Kelsey had the gun. That's why it was gunshot residue, gunpowder residue on Tory, because he was trying to stop Kelsey from killing Megan Thee Stallion that night. So instead of this girl thanking this man, this black man, that she lied on national TV, how is it that everybody's saying you lying? Party said you lying. The evidence at trial said you lying. You said you lying. You had a come to Jesus moment and you realized that you didn't like the fact that Tory did you the way he did you. You was already mad because he was flirting in the pool. He was flirting with Kylie in the pool because Tory wasn't ready to go. In the trial transcripts, Kelsey and EJ would tell you that Tory was not ready to go. He wasn't ready to go. He wanted to stay there. But Megan was ready for him to go because she got some of that boat in her and she started acting crazy and she started getting jealous because Tory was flirting. So then you get in the car and you still want to talk shit. Okay, keep talking shit. And I'm going to tell your best friend what we got going on. Kelsey talked about how Megan lied on the stand. I got the transcripts. She talked about how Megan stabbed her behind her back, how Megan cheated and slept with her men. She talked about it. Everybody can't lie. At some point, you got to be like, listen, it got to be me. And this fame get to these hoes. This fame get to these hoes. And they start thinking, oh, because I'm a hot girl, that you could just go lie and put a black man in jail. Now, I want to pay out close attention. How y'all doing on tonight? Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Okay. Let me take you out to my email. We finna get into these we finna get into this document because I'm doing a big story about this. Because no media outlet seems to want to tell Tory Lanez story. So I'm gonna tell it. So let's read this. Now, this was a preliminary hearing. This was when Sean Hawley, who represented O.J. Simpson in his trial, was Tory's attorney. Now, these are the court trial transcripts. This was from Tuesday, December 14, 2021. Now, this trial transcript is going to show you how the LAPD, hold on, y'all, wanted to frame Tory, how the prosecutors wanted to frame Tory Lanez. Okay, People versus Daystar Peterson. It's 89 pages, but we're going to read it. Okay? All right. The record, Miss Holly, good morning, Your Honor. Sean Holly on behalf of Mr. Peterson. He is present before the court. Miss Ta. Kathy Ta was the dirty prosecutor in Tory's trial. Good morning, Your Honor. Sean, excuse me. Good morning, Your Honor. Kathy Ta on behalf of the people. The court, people are ready for preliminary hearing. Ms. Ta, we are, Your Honor. The court, further reading of the complaint. Statement of rights waived. Ms. Holly, yes. The court, call your first witness. Ms. Ta, I will ask the court if we could have Officer Ryan Stockner designated as the investigating officer. We ask he remain during the pendency of the hearing. Ms. Holly, no objection. Motion to exclude any other witnesses. The court, please spell your last name to witness. Stockner. The court, Officer Stockner, for purposes of preliminary hearing, you are designated investigating officer and may remain in the courtroom to assist the district attorney in the presentation of the case. Other witnesses are to remain in the hallway. Any other witnesses present in the court? Wait, Ms. Ta? Ms. Ta, outside of the first witness? No. The court, with that understanding, you may call your first witness. Ms. Ta, the people call Officer Cabral. The court, is there another appearance on WebEx for the Peterson matter? Ms. Ta, I believe, Your Honor, we have an attorney presenting the victim in this case who may be signing into WebEx this morning. The court, noted for the record. Ms. Ta, thank you. The people call Officer Cabral. The clerk, you do solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help you God, the witness. I do. All right, roll your backwood up because we finna get it. We finna get into these things tonight. Okay. Okay, sworn and said the witness. My name is Sandra Cabral. The clerk, please spell it. The witness, yes, last name Cabral. The clerk, your first name. The witness, Sandra. Direct examination. Okay, by Miss Todd. Good morning, Miss Cabral. Good morning, ma'am. What is your occupation and assignment? She says, I'm a police officer for the Los Angeles Police Department, patrol officer. Prosecutor, what division are you currently assigned to? Officer, Hollywood Division. Prosecutor, how long have you been sworn officer? Let me just say this. Anything that's an A me answers, anything that's a question is the prosecutor asking, all right? 3 years. Have you completed the Peace Officer Standards or Training course, certified in that course, which that's trained in the report investigating the cases and testifying pursuant to the Proposition 115? I have. Okay, on July 12th of 2020 at about 4:30 in the morning, did you respond to the area of North Nichols Canyon in the county of Los Angeles? I did. Is that in the neighborhood of the Hollywood Hills area? Correct. Were you responding to a call regarding shots fired? Y'all, excuse me tonight. Yes. While you were en route to that location, what did you see? We observed a black SUV Cadillac on Hollywood Boulevard away from the location we were responding to. As part of that call you received, did you receive a suspect vehicle description? Yes. The vehicle you saw, did it match the suspect vehicle? Yes. Once you saw that vehicle, did you go to the scene with a partner of the vehicle? Yes. And when you spotted this vehicle, did guys do a felony detention stop of the vehicle? Yes, we did. Upon doing that, could you see how many occupants were in the vehicle? Not initially. At some point, were you able to determine how many occupants were in the vehicle? Yes. How many occupants were in the vehicle? 4. Did you see anyone in court here today that you saw on that day? I do. Could you please describe what they are wearing in court and point to where they are located in the courtroom? They are wearing a white shirt. He's wearing a white shirt. The court, identifying Mr. Peterson. When you saw the defendant on that day, where was he located? He was sitting in the front seat of the SUV. Were the occupants of the vehicle removed from the car? Yes. Aside from the defendant, who was seated in the front passenger seat? Who else was in the vehicle and where were they seated? There was a driver and then there was a female passenger in the rear seat. Now, one of the rear passenger, was her first name Megan? Yes. Where was she located in the rear passenger seat? She was sitting behind Mr. Daystar. So the other female in the vehicle, was that person later identified as Kelsey Harris? Yes. Was she in the rear passenger seat behind the driver? Yes, she was. Once all the occupants were removed with respect to the female identified as Megan, did you observe any injuries on her? I did. What injuries did you observe? She was bleeding from her right foot. Did you do some type of inspection of the interior of that SUV? I did. Did you find anything in the front passenger seat where the defendant was located, Holly? Objection. Miss Holly said objection because the prosecutor was giving answers like, did you find such and such in the front seat of the car? Like you're telling him instead of just asking, where did you find the gun in the car? And let him say front passenger seat. You can't say, did you find the gun in the front? That's called leading. You have to, you can't do that. So Miss Holly objected The witness said, I did. The court overruled her objection, which it should have been sustained, but I'm not, By Miss Todd, what did you find? There was an olive green handgun on the floorboard of the front passenger seat. Was this a see me? Was this a semi-automatic? Was this a semi-automatic? The firearm was warm to the touch. Anything else? Wait. Anything else about the position on the switch? Y'all, excuse me a little bit. I'm a little bit fucked up tonight. I'm a drunk prosecutor on tonight. Look at Miss Carol. Me and Miss Carol done gagged all damn night. Okay. Anything else about the position of which the firearm was in at the time that you observed it? It was in the slide lock position. Is there anything significant about that? There is. The firearm to us shows us that the firearm had been used. Was there a magazine in the automatic firearm? There was. The female Megan, what was her demeanor at that moment? She was in panic, frantic. That firearm, was it booked as item number 2 under Dr. number 200612515? Yes, it was. The location where you spotted this SUV, about how far was it from where the call shots fired from, where that originated? Approximately a mile. Did you speak with any officers that went to the location of where the call originated? I did. Did you discuss with them whether or not they found or observed any evidence at the scene? Yes. What did they observe? They observed 4 casings, spent casings at the location where the original call came from. What exactly is a spent casing? Yes, it's a round that has been fired. What type of firearm was the one that was recovered from the SUV? A 9mm. Excuse me, a 9mm. The spent casings that were found at the location where the call originated, what type of casings were those? The same, 9mm. Was it 4 spent casings that were found at the location where the call originated? Yes. I would have said ask the answer because they already answered that. Was this a residential area, North Nichols Canyon? Yes, it was. The 4 spent cases, was that book under item 31, the number, blah, 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 blah? Yes, thank you. Miss Todd, nothing further for this witness. The court, Miss Holly. Now, Miss Holly was Tory Lanez attorney at this time. Okay. All right. Miss Holly, Your Honor, I don't have any questions. Okay, this time she don't have any questions. I will ask the officer to remain on call. The court, all right, Officer Cobber, you may step down. However, you will be on call. Call your next witness. Miss Todd, thank you. The people call Officer Stotner, the clerk. You do solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give and the cause now pending before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Ryan Stotner, called as a witness by the people, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. The clerk, please take the witness stand, state both names, spell them for the record, blah, 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 blah. Direct examination. This is another witness for the state. What is your occupation and assignment? Now, listen to this detective. This is the lead detective in the case. Listen to this. I need y'all to listen to this because I want y'all to call in tonight. You got to listen to this testimony. I'm a detective with the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm currently assigned to the Gang and Narcotics Division. At the time of this investigation, was assigned to the Hollywood Division, robbery detective. How long have you been a sworn peace officer? Approximately 15 years. Now, were you assigned lead investigator duties on a shooting incident that occurred back on July 12th of 2020 at about 4:30 a.m.? Yes. Again, was that in the area of North 11 Nichols Canyon Drive? Yes. Is that in the county of Los Angeles? Yes, it is. Now, as part of your investigation, did you speak with the individual by the first name of Megan? Last initials, P? Yes. Did you conduct more than one interview with Megan? Yes. Was there one initially conducted just a few days after this incident on July 16, 2020? Yes. Did you also conduct an interview with her on November 12th, 2020? Yes. As to those interviews, what, if anything, did she tell you happened on July 12th of 2020 at 4:30 a.m.? Ms. Holly, objection, calls for a narrative. The court sustained. Just controlled examination, Ms. Ta. When you spoke with Megan, did she tell you whether or not anything happened on July 12th of 2020 at 4:30 a.m. on North Nichols Canyon Drive? Yes, she did, the detective said. Did she tell you who she was with at the time this incident occurred around that time period? Yes. Who was she with? She was with 3 other individuals. Did she identify those individuals to you? Yes. Who did she say they were? She identified one of them as Tory Lanez or Daystar Peterson, one of her other friends, Kelsey Harris, and then another male she described as Tory Lanez's bodyguard. The female Kelsey Harris, did Megan P tell you what her relationship to Kelsey was? Megan identified Kelsey as her friend. Did she also identify the person she was Tory Lanez to you through a photo identification? Yes. Was that done on November 12th of 2020? Yes. Ms. Ty, Your Honor, I have what appears to be one colored photograph of an individual. May this mark People's 1 for identification. The court People's 1 for identification, photo 1 pack. May I approach the witness? You may. Ms. Ty, thank you. Showing you what's been identified as People's 1. Do you recognize this document? Yes, the detective said. How do you recognize it? It's an unmarked photograph of the defendant that I printed, and that appears to be some written notation to the right of that photograph. Is that correct? Correct. What is the written notation? Wrote 11/12/22 at approximately 11:15 hours. Megan P. ID'd as quote unquote Tory. Was the photograph you showed Megan P to see if she could identify the person as Tory? Yes. The person that is depicted in this photograph, do you see him here in court today? Yes. Could you describe where he is located in the courtroom? He is the defendant stated next to the defense counsel wearing the white shirt. The court identifying Mr. Peterson. Did Miss Megan P explain to you how she came to be with these other individuals? Yes. What did she say? Megan and Kelsey originally were at a party in the Hollywood Hills, which was Kylie Jenner's house. They later met up with Mr. Peterson and his associate. Later in the night, they ultimately were giving Megan and her friend Kelsey a ride home. When you say they, who are you referring to? Mr. Peterson and his associate. That would be the driver. The driver, yes, ma'am. What happened next, according to Megan? According to Megan, Mr. Peterson was intoxicated and did not leave the party. An argument ensued between Megan, Mr. Peterson, also her friend Kelsey. At some point, Megan asked to get out of the vehicle. The driver complies by stopping the vehicle in the middle of the street and Megan exiting the vehicle. What did Megan say happened next? Megan described her position in the vehicle as seated in the front passenger seat as she exited the vehicle. She heard Mr. Peterson yelling cuss words at her and stated, "Dance, bitch," and then began firing a weapon at her. Now, when Megan told you she was originally in the front passenger seat, she mentioned exiting the vehicle, correct? Did Megan indicate at that point whether the other occupants of the vehicle remained in the vehicle? She did indicate something to that. As she was leaving the vehicle, did she tell you where she was headed or in what direction she was walking? She was walking away from the vehicle. Her intention was to contact another individual to pick her up. As she was walking away from a vehicle, did she tell you if she was walking away towards the rear, past the rear door? Yes. She was walking away to the rear of the vehicle, which was the back of the vehicle, which is what Jaquan said he was pulling her to the back of. As she was walking away, how was it she became aware that the moment had made the statement, "Dance, bitch"? She had turned back towards the vehicle and observed Mr. Peterson holding a firearm, and then observed him to start shoot at her. Did she tell you where he was located as he was shooting the firearm at her? She described it as the threshold of the 16th rear passenger door, where she described it kind of where he was half in, half out, standing on the step borders of the vehicle. To her knowledge at the time he was firing this weapon, did she know where Kelsey was? The last time she knew, she did not know where Kelsey was exactly at the time of the shooting. She described her attention as being directed towards Mr. Peterson because he was shooting at her. However, the last place she knew that Kelsey was seated was in the rear passenger seat behind the passenger side, on the passenger side of the vehicle in the rear. Then as far as the driver, did Megan tell you whether or not she was aware of where he was located at the time of the shooting? She was not aware where he was located at the time of the shooting. What did Megan say happened after the defendant shot at her? She described that Mr. Peterson and Kelsey ran up to her. She stated Mr. Peterson immediately emphatically apologized for doing what he did and agreed to drive her home. After he fired the shots, did Megan tell you whether or not she felt anything? So Megan immediately felt pain to her feet and then observed blood. She fell to the ground and then crawled to an adjacent driveway of a resident. Now, as she was outside and said, according to Megan, the defendant Kelsey approached her. Did anything occur between the defendant Kelsey, according to Megan? Megan stated that from her description of it was that she observed Kelsey and Mr. Peterson bump into each other, and according to her, she agreed to get back into the car with the defendant and Kelsey be brought home. Did she recall whether or not Kelsey had also tended to her as she lay on the ground? According to Megan, both of the individuals observed the blood and the injuries to her feet, and her friend Kelsey attempted to provide medical aid to her. When she got back in the vehicle, Does she recall where everyone was seated at that point? Yes. When she returned to the vehicle, the driver remained in the driver's seat, and then Kelsey and Megan were in the rear of the vehicle, and then defendant Peterson was in the front passenger seat. Once she returned to the vehicle, did she say whether or not she was bleeding? She described her injuries as bleeding profusely. Okay. Did she say whether or not the defendant made any statements to her after he had shot her? Yes. What statements did he make according to Megan? Megan stated that the defendant apologized for doing it and offered her money and begged her to please not say anything, and made a reference to the fact that he was already on probation and that he begged her not to say anything. Once they were in the car, what happened next? Moments later, due to radio calls for a shooting in progress that had been generated by citizens in the residential neighborhood, responding officers observed the vehicle matching the suspect description based on the radio call and conducted a felony traffic stop on the vehicle that Megan and the defendant were in. And that was the night that you see when TMZ released that video showing them getting out of the car. This is what they're talking about. What did she say about that? Initially, Megan stated to the responding officers that she was not shot and she sustained injuries to her feet due to stepping on broken glass. Did she tell you why she stated that to officers? She said that at the time she was extremely scared and embarrassed, and was due to the fact that she was friends with the defendant. She was scared that he was going to get in trouble, and had also expressed some concerns regarding the political climate regarding police and shootings. What exactly did she say about that? She was afraid that there had been recent police shootings, and that she described her concern for the police possibly shooting the defendant since he had just committed a shooting. When she stated to you that she saw the defendant shoot her, did she indicate there was any doubt in her mind that it was the defendant and the defendant alone had fired the weapon at her? No, no doubt. Did she authorize the release of her medical records? Yes. Did you speak with a doctor who may have treated her for those injuries? Did you speak to a doctor? Remember that. Did you speak to a doctor? Okay, that may have treated her for those injuries? Yes. Was she treated that night? Yes. Where was she treated? At Cedar Sinai Medical Center. When she spoke to the doctor, was that Dr. Milton Little from Cedar Sinai? Yes. Is he an orthopedic surgeon? Excuse me. Yes. Did he tell you what treatment he rendered? Yes. What did he say? He told me that he had to surgically remove what he described as bullet fragments from Megan's left and right foot. That surgery was conducted when used stitches to suture the wounds. However, there were bullet fragments he was unable to remove from Megan's foot that remain in her foot to this day. Does she still have a scar into her feet when you met her with November 12th, 2020? Yes. Did she tell you whether or not she had any other residual injuries or pain that she was dealing with as a result of what happened that night? Yes. What did she say? She said she has ongoing physical in order to achieve full range of motion, and still has difficulty walking in certain type of shoe wear. Excuse me. Did she indicate there was a nerve damage? She indicated there was nerve damage to her foot. Now, the firearm in this case that was recovered as item number 2, was that a registered or unregistered firearm? It was unregistered. The defendant on that night, was he immediately arrested after the felony vehicle stop? Yes. Once he was arrested, was he booked into the Los Angeles Police Department? Yes. While he was booked in the LAPD jail, did you retrieve any type of jail calls that may have been made? Yes. How did you go about doing that? Through our department resources, we have access to monitor phone calls that are conducted by arrestees as they are booked. They obtain a PIN number that we utilize to track the phone calls placed by individual arrestees. Did you track any phone calls that were made by the defendant on the night of his arrest? Yes. Was there one in particular that was significant to you? Yes. What call was that? The defendant placed a call to Megan's friend, who was also a witness to the shooting, Kelsey Harris. When was that call placed in relation to after the shooting occurred? It was placed hours after he was actually booked into jail. During that call that you listened to, how did you know the call was placed to Kelsey Harris? The system provides a phone number that the arrestee dials. The phone number is consistent with the phone number provided by the witness, and it's also the same phone number that I had spoken to witness Harris previously. Having listened to that call, what if anything occurred? The defendant continued to apologize for the incident that occurred. Told Kelsey that he was drunk and he was sorry for what he had done. At the time the call was placed to Kelsey, did Kelsey identify where she was at when the defendant called her? When the call was made at the defendant to Kelsey, where was Kelsey at? Compound question. Oh, Kelsey was actually still at the hospital with Megan at the time of the call. Did the defendant ask Kelsey how Megan was doing? Yes. At any point during that phone call, did he deny being responsible for anything? No. Thank you. Nothing further for this witness. Now, let me say this to you. Before we go back to that document. If you listen to the phone call, Tory Lanez never says what he is sorry for. And I just feel like that when you have a situation where you have two theories, either the district attorney can believe or the jurors can believe that he shot her, or they can believe that she was upset because Tory was flirting with Kylie at the house. She didn't really have to go back and get her shoe. He wanted to stay. She wanted him to come home. So she told the security guard, let's go back to the house because I left my shoe. Girl, you got so much money, you can get a shoe. Okay. Tory comes out, y'all go, and y'all start getting into it. Then, you know, he starts threatening, I'm going to put out and tell you what's been going on. Okay, we've been fucking. Because Kelsey was like, well, what's going on? What's going on? He says, we've been sleeping around, fucking around. And that's when Kelsey and Megan start fighting. Jaquan had to pull the car over to stop them hoes from fighting. Can't nobody drive with y'all fighting. Out the car fighting. Jaquan trying to pull Megan back. Tory trying to make sure Megan good. Kelsey done pulled out a gun. Because there was a gun in the front passenger seat under the bag. EJ testified that he was told to take Megan's and Kelsey's stuff to Jaquan's car, to the truck, Tory's truck, and he said he observed something that looked like a gun. He didn't say if it was a gun or not, but he did state that he observed something that looked like a gun. Okay? But they tried to use that jail phone call to make it seem like that he was apologizing for the shooting. And he very much well could have been apologizing for Kelsey pulling out the gun, shooting. But when you really look at it, he like, damn, man, I should have never told Kelsey. I should have never said that shit. I should have never told her, you know, that we were fucking around. I should have never told you that me and Megan was fucking around. That shit blew up. All them drunk. Oh, you fucking around with Tory? Kelsey didn't know that Megan had been messing with Tory until that night. And they started fighting. But had the prosecutor claimed, oh, we weren't ready to examine or ready to cross-examine Jaquan, Jaquan could have already given his statement in court about what happened that night. Had the prosecutors allowed him to testify and the judge not rule with the prosecutors. Because I feel like if you are a witness of a crime or a shooting and you was there, you have firsthand knowledge, and this man is saying he could testify, I feel like as a defense attorney, I shouldn't have to wait for the prosecutor to get ready to cross-examine. You should be ready when we go to trial. These are my witnesses. This is who I'm calling to the stand, and this is, you're going to have to deal with that. But the judge overruled. The judge overruled the defense objection to that. Okay. Now here we go. Let's get into Miss Holly. I like Miss Holly. Now cross-examination. This is Tory's attorney. Detective Staunton, ma'am, you are only aware of 5 people that were eyewitnesses to this incident, correct? Yes, ma'am. Those people are Megan, Jaquan Smith, Kelsey Harris, Daystar Peterson, and Sean Kelly, correct? Correct. Now, Sean Kelly is the eyewitness. He is the man, okay? And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you how dirty they are. In 2020, TMZ wrote an article about this shooting and said that police told them that there was cell phone video footage of the incident, but some witnesses wasn't cooperating. But the video ain't come nowhere in the trial at all. Where the video footage at of the incident that shows the shooting? Now let's get to Miss Holly. Now, Mr. Kelly is the eyewitness who saw the incident from his balcony after being awakened to the sounds of an argument, correct? Yes, the detective said. You have spoken with Mr. Kelly, correct? Yes. Now, of those 5 witnesses, only 2 gave statements to the police, right? Correct. That would be Megan and Mr. Kelly, correct? Yes. Would you agree with me that the accounts about what happened as told to you by Mr. Kelly and by Megan was substantially Different. They are different. Yes. Would you agree that Mr. Kelly, unlike Megan, is an independent witness? Yes, the detective said. In other words, he has no particular. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Let me put the document up here, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. In other words, he has no particular interest in this incident, correct? Correct. He doesn't know any of the people involved, right? Not that I'm aware of. He didn't even know who Tory Lanez or Megan Thee Stallion were, right? Correct. He only became known to you. Excuse me. He only became known to you when officers canvassed the area shortly after the incident to see if there were any witnesses to it, correct? Yes. And Mr. Kelly acknowledged having been an eyewitness to the incident, correct? Yes. As you testified, Megan lied to the police about what happened initially. Yes. She lied to several police officers about what happened, correct? Yes. She also lied to the doctors at Cedars-Sinai about what happened, correct? Objection. Foundation calls for hearsay. Ms. Holly tells the judge it's definitely not offered for the truth of the matter. The court, all right, it's not offered for the truth of the matter. Overruled that on that basis. Ms. Holly, she lied to the doctors at Cedars-Sinai about what happened, correct? I believe so, yes. She told the officers and doctors that she had cut her foot on glass. Is that right? Yes, the detective says. And in fact, the doctor said that her injury appeared consistent with a laceration from glass, correct? Yes. Ms. Todd, objection, calls for foundation. The court overruled. Ms. Todd, hearsay. The doctor told him that the doctor told him that officers believed her, correct? That I don't know of. Ms. Todd, objection, that calls for foundation, hearsay, speculation. The court, it is sustained, it's irrelevant. By Ms. Holly. The doctor also believed her, didn't they? Objection, call for speculation. Ms. Holly, let me rephrase. Did you learn through the course of your investigation as investigating officer that I'm sorry, y'all. It's so blurry a little bit to me. Maybe the liquor. It's something in this liquor. Oh, girl. Okay, did you learn through the course of your investigation as investigating officer that the doctors believed her initially? They said so. Ms. Todd, I will make the same. It does actually call for hearsay. Foundational issues, call for speculation is irrelevant. The court is irrelevant, sustained. Ms. Holly. Now, as you testified, Megan said that she lied in part because she was afraid that because they were all black people that the police would shoot them if they knew they had a gun in the car, correct? Yes, the detective said. Did you see the video that she posted of herself discussing why she lied on Instagram Live on August 20, 2020? No, ma'am. Are you aware of her statement, quote, you think I'm about to tell the police that we niggas, us black people, got a gun in the car? You want me to tell the laws we got a gun in the car so they can shoot all of us? I ain't tell the police what happened immediately right then because I didn't want to die. Are you aware of that statement that she made? Not specifically, no. Now, once everybody was ordered out of the car by the police, Tory, Jaquan, and Kelsey were handcuffed and taken to the Hollywood Police Division, correct? Yes. And Megan was placed in the ambulance where she was handcuffed and accompanied to Cedars-Sinai by a female LAPD officer. I understand she was transported to the hospital. I'm not aware if she was handcuffed or not, ma'am. You haven't seen the body cam footage from the ambulance ride? I have seen a lot of body cam footage, the detective says. I don't specifically recall that at this time. Okay, were there paramedics in the ambulance? Yes. So you agree with me that there was no danger at all to Megan of being shot by the police once she was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital? The detective says, I would agree with that, yes. Yet she didn't tell the female officer or any officer in the ambulance that she had been shot, correct? Correct. Would you agree with me that when she got to Sitters, she was in no danger of being shot by the police? I would agree. And yet she didn't tell any of the officers at Cedars that her injury was not caused by glass, correct? Correct. Because she stuck with the story. Isn't it true that the officers left the hospital without interviewing her further? Yes. Ms. Todd, objection. Then she withdraws it. Did you see her videotape statement on Instagram Live on August 20th, 2020, that she said that she lied to the doctor because she thought the doctors at Cedars were actually the police? The detective said, no, I ain't see that video. As far as you're aware, was there anything about the doctors that made them appear to be police? Not that I'm aware of. During her Instagram, did you hear her? I didn't tell the police nothing because I didn't want us to get in no more trouble than what we were already about to get in. No, I haven't seen any of the Instagram. She did say a similar thing to you during your videotape interview with her. Yes. Did you ever ask her why she would say that she might be in trouble if she had simply been the victim of gunshot wounds that she claims? Yes. Why did she say she might be in trouble and she expressed that she was traumatized, scared, and embarrassed that the incident had occurred and was not thinking clearly? So is your answer that she said, oh, I'm sorry, I read that all wrong, but y'all get it. That was the answer. So is your answer that she said might be in trouble because she wasn't thinking clearly. That's what she said. By the way, have you ever questioned her about any of the statements that she made to the media or to social media? No. If she has made statements which are inconsistent with what she told you, would you consider that to be important? Yes. But you haven't looked at any of the statement that she's made on her own social media, including a video. No. Are you aware that she wrote on her Instagram August 19th, I got hit at the back of my feet because when I got shot, I was, this part is all in caps, walking away facing the back. Were you aware of that statement? I'm aware that there were multiple statements and multiple videos made by her social media, but you haven't seen any of those. No, ma'am. I conduct my investigation independent of any social media posts. Would you agree with me that there are a number of inconsistencies in Megan's statements to you, to other LAPD officers, and to the media about the incident? Ms. Ta, objection. Cause for speculation as to statements in the media. This officer specifically said he did not review those specific posts. The court, if you know, if you don't, you don't. If you don't, overrule. Sit down. The witness, I'm only aware of inconsistent statements made between responding officers and myself. Ms. Holly, would you agree with me that there's a great deal of the information that may get omitted statements to you by the incidents and events leading up to the incident? Objection. If you understand the question, overrule. Can you repeat the question? Would you agree that Megan left out would you agree that Megan left out a lot of information in providing her statements to you about the incident and the events leading up to the incident? I don't know what she may or may not have left out. Okay. Now, Megan, I'm going to call him Tory. Is that all right? Megan and Tory first saw each other on July 12th at Kylie Jenner's house, correct? Yes. You understand that Megan and Kelsey and another friend, EJ, had been at Miss Jenner's home throughout the day. Yes. It was just those 4 people, right? I'm not sure if it was just 4 of them, but she did tell me that they were at the house throughout the day. Excuse me. And she told you that it wasn't a party and it wasn't even a gathering, just a few people hanging out, right? Yes. Now, did Megan ever tell you that it was she who invited Tory to the house? No. In your videotape interview of her, as she was telling the story of how Tory got there, she said, quote, so originally Tory wasn't with us when he came over. Do you remember that? Yes. Then you asked her, you and Kelsey are hanging out, and at some point in the night, Tory shows up. Her response was, uh-huh. Do you remember that? Yes. She never clarified to you that he didn't just show up, but that she invited him. Did she? She did not. Did she ever tell you that she gave him the address so he could come there? I did not know. You didn't ask her either, did you? I did not. Did she tell you that prior to Tory arriving that she had been drinking all day? Yes. And that Tory didn't arrive until much later, right? Yes. And by the end of the night, or really the early morning, everyone had a lot to drink. Yes. Now, you never asked Megan how much she had to drink that day and night, did you? Not specifically, no. You never asked her how impaired or how intoxicated she was at the time of the incident, did you? Not specifically, no. But you are aware of the fact that alcohol can impair a person's perception, correct? Yes. And their ability to recall, correct? Yes. You were assigned this case as the investigating officer on July 14, 2 days after the incident, correct? Yes. And you have your first telephone interview with Megan on July 16, correct? Now, in that interview, she told you that she and Tory were arguing about leaving a party and that she wanted to leave, but Tory did not, correct? Yes. And as you just testified, when you met her in person on November 12th, she clarified to you that it wasn't at a party, right? Yes. Now, she and Kelsey and EJ had gone to Miss Jenner's house together in EJ's car, correct? I'm not sure whose car they were in, but they did travel together. Yes. Miss Holly, may I have a moment? Yes, the court said. So Megan and Kelsey had all gone to Miss Jenner's house together in a car, correct? Yes. And EJ in the car was still there at the time when Megan wanted to leave the house, correct? I don't know. Well, she told you that, didn't she? I don't recall. You asked her about that the person she came with was still there. You asked her why she wanted to leave with Tory, and she said it was a last minute thing. Remember that? She did say it was a last minute thing. Did you ask her why she was arguing with Tory about his not wanting to leave when she wanted to leave when the person she came with was still there? No, it didn't seem relevant to me at the time. So it didn't seem relevant to you to ask her why she wanted to leave with Tory and not with EJ, the person she came with. No, the detective said. And she never explained that to you. No. She did tell you that it was last minute thing that she wanted to leave with Tory, right? She stated that she had been friends for, wait, hold on, excuse me. Did she tell you that it was a last minute thing that she wanted to leave with Tory, right? Answer, she stated that they had been friends for approximately a year and it was not uncommon for them to be in each other's company. I don't know how that switched up like that. And that he would go over to her house all the time, right? Did you ever learn that Megan was not truthful to you about the nature of her relationship with Tory? No. And you didn't think that that was important? Ms. Todd, objection. Mistakes the testimony, sustained. Now, at some point, Megan and Kelsey got into the Escalade being driven by Jaquan, Tory's bodyguard, right? Yes. As far as you can determine, Quan had been waiting in the car by the time Tory had gone into Miss Jenner's house, correct? In other words, he wasn't part of the gathering. He's the driver sitting in the car, is your understanding. That is my understanding, the detective said. Did Megan ever tell you that at the end of the night or early morning when she was ready to leave that she had EJ and Kelsey take all of her and Kelsey's belongings out of EJ's car and put them in Tory's car, the car Quan was driving? She told me that she did have personal items in Tory's car, but she didn't tell you that she had them take all of her personal items that she had been in EJ's car, the car she came in, take them out and put them in Tory's car. She didn't tell you that? No. She did tell you that when she was ready to leave that Tory was in the pool with Miss Jenner, right? Yes. So she told Quan to take her and Kelsey home and go back to get Tory, right? Yes. And none of that seemed odd to you given that the person she came with and his car was still there? No. Did Megan tell you that Quan actually drove her and Kelsey away from Miss Jenner's and they made it close to Megan's house or where she was staying when Megan asked Quan to take her back to Miss Jenner's house? No. You see, Megan didn't tell the detective that. See, they didn't want to consider none of this because they wanted to frame Tory. They didn't want to consider the detective, all these red signs, all of these follow-up questions, all of this stuff that a person like me would have been asking questions about. The detectives did not want to pursue that for whatever reason. For whatever reason, this detective who's been with the LAPD for over a decade did not follow up with questions about a shooting or different theories. And Megan didn't even tell him that she told Quan to turn around and go back to the house. No. She told you it wasn't a big deal that Tory wanted to stay, right? Correct. But she also told you on July 16th that this was the source of the argument in the car, that she was ready to leave and he wasn't ready to leave, right? Yes. She told you that when she came out to Quan's car, she went back in again to tell Tory again that she's ready to leave. Do you remember that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Did she tell you that she came out, went back, came out again to try to get Tory to leave? She said that there was some back and forth trying to lead the party. And then Quan went in to get Tory, right? Yes. And then according to Megan, Tory was upset when he came out to the car with Quan, right? Yes. It appeared to her that he was upset because she was insistent that they leave, right? That's what she told me, yes. And when she was upset that he wasn't leaving, when she wanted him to leave, right? That I don't know, ma'am. Would you agree with me that a witness memory of events is clear in the minds closer to the event than further from it? Usually, yes. Don't you think a few hours after the incident when Megan was in the hospital that she told Officer Gomez and Mijai that the verbal argument in the car was between she and Kelsey? Objection, cause for hearsay. It's not offered for the truth, irrelevant. It's important and consistent statement. What is the irrelevance? That she said that this argument is key to what happened, and she has told many inconsistent stories about who this argument, the court. What was the nature of the argument? I promise we will get into that. It still does call for hearsay, though. Counsel is saying prior inconsistent statement, they still need to be made through admissible testimony. Right now, it's double layers of hearsay. Counsel is asking whether or not this officer is aware of statements made to another officer when he wasn't present for that conversation. Ms. Holly, he is the investigating officer who presumably has read all of the reports. If Megan was here herself, these are questions that would be put to her. It certainly doesn't seem fair to the proceedings that one layer of hearsay props, that's the second layer. So the statement and inconsistent statement to the officer, hearsay exception, second layer prop, is that correct? Or Ms. Holly? Yes. Court or Ms. Holly, no, yes, you're correct, but it's not all hearsay. It is a prior inconsistent statement which she would be confronted with if she were here. Now, if he says he wasn't aware of it as the investigating officer, then it is what it is. But it is central to the court. The objection is sustained. These foundations, in other words, move on to another question. Have you received any information at all as the investigating officer that Megan said that the argument was between her and Kelsey? Megan has also stated to me that she and Kelsey were arguing. Is it true that Mr. Kelly, the independent witness, observed a physical fight between Megan and Kelsey? That is what he stated. Now, when you interview her on the phone on the 16th of July, it was then that she claimed the argument was between her and Tory about leaving the party, right? Yes. And when you interviewed her in November, she said that Kelsey and Tory were arguing, right? Yes. Did you ask her any follow-up questions on any of the of these stories about who was arguing with whom? Why? Yes. Now stay with me. Did she tell you at some point that the argument in the car escalated when Tory revealed to Kelsey that he was in an intimate relationship with Megan? I did not. I'm not aware of that. You don't remember that from your interview where she says that Tory and Megan were in an intimate relationship, that Tory said that in the car, that Tory and Megan were in an intimate relationship, the detective asked. Question, that Tory said that in the car and that is what escalated the argument. No, you don't remember that? No. Do you remember her saying that Tory bringing that up created, and this is her on the videotape interview, drama because Kelsey knew Megan had a romantic interest in Tory? That Kelsey had some affection for the defendant? Do you remember Megan saying to you in your videotape interview that Kelsey said that night in the car, this wasn't the first time that Megan, she said on the video, backdoor her with a guy? Do you remember that? Yes, the detective says. Did any of that shed any light for you as to why Megan was upset that Tory wasn't leaving the party or the gathering or the hangout at Miss Jenner's house? No. Now, when Megan told you that during this argument in the car, which was either between her and Kelsey or Tory and Kelsey or Tory and her, that she got out of the car on Sunset Boulevard and sat on a bus stop, right? Yes. And she was wearing a bikini at that time, right? Yes, I believe so. And it was 4:30 in the morning, correct? Yes. Did you ask her how long she sat at the bus stop on Sunset Boulevard in her bikini at 4:30 in the morning? From my understanding, it was a brief time, ma'am. Not sure the exact amount, but a brief time. And she told you that while she was at the bus stop, she called her manager and said, quote, said to manager, come get me because I don't want to be in the car when they are doing all this arguing, right? Yes. Again, she was saying that they are arguing, even though she had previously said that she was part of the argument, right? Yes. At some point, Tory with Corn Drive and came back and got her to get back in the car from the bus stop, right? Yes. And then she told you that she and Tory started arguing about their music careers and who was the best rapper, something like that, something to that effect. Yes. When the car was on Nicholas Canyon Road, she wanted to get out of the car again, right? Yes. You have been to that location. Yes. Yes. It was very dark, isn't it? Yes, it is. In a very narrow canyon street. Yes. Residential. Yes. Just a few houses in the general vicinity. Yes. And one of the houses is Mr. Kelly's house, correct? Yes. And his balcony is just over the area where the incident occurred, right? Yes. He told you that he was awakened by the sound of arguing and he went out to his balcony to see what was going on, right? Yes. And a LAPD officer spoke to him in person shortly after the incident, correct? Yes. And he said that it appeared to him that the muzzle flash was closest to the non-victim female at the time of the shooting, correct? Yes. He also indicated that he saw the female passenger in the back of the car get out, open the front passenger door where the other female passenger was, and that they started fighting and kicking one another, right? Yes. And LAPD, that sound like I think that's Kelsey that got out the car. Let me see. He also indicated where the female passenger that they started fighting. Okay, and you spoke with him on the phone on July 16th, right? Yes. Did you ever go speak with him in person? I attempted, but I was unable to meet with him in person. So you didn't think it was important for you as the investigating officer to speak with the only independent witness to the incident? Yes. Would it surprise you to hear that Mr. Kelly felt that during your telephonic interview with him, that it felt to him like nothing he had to say was important to you? That one surprised me. According to Megan, she got out of the car for the second time and started walking away from it, right? Yes. So it was a dragged out brawl, child. It was a dragged out brawl. Ooh, it was a dragged out brawl. Okay, she said that she was walking away. She heard Tory say, dance, bitch, right? Yes. Now, other than Megan, was there anyone else that said they heard this? No, because through Mr. Kelly was the only eyewitness in the neighborhood. There were a number of ear witnesses, right? Yes. And the officer with several of those ear witnesses, correct? Yes. And many of them heard an argument, right? Yes. And many of them heard gunshots. Yes. And actually, some of that is recorded on their rings or security system, right? Correct. But no one heard dance, bitch, except Megan, correct? Yes. She told you, Megan told you in your in-person interview that she saw Tory pull his gun, right? She stated that she saw him point a gun at her, but she also said that she saw him pull his gun. Do you remember her saying that? Something to that effect, yes. She also said that she was 25 feet away, correct? Approximately facing away from him, correct? Yes. In the dark, yes. When he was at least partially, according to her, inside the car, right? Yes. Did she say where he pulled it from? No. She told you he was standing over the door when he shot. Yes. He's in the back seat of the car. Yes. Behind the driver when Megan got out of the car, right? Correct. Did she say he shot her over the window? Excuse me, did she say he shot over the window from the back seat behind the driver? No, from the passenger side. So when she gets out of the car, he's in the rear driver's side, correct? Correct. Yes, she sees him on the from inside the car in the rear passenger side. Is that right? Correct. Now, except for Quan, everyone in the car when they are stopped by the police are wearing swimsuits, correct? Yes. So based on what they were wearing, a few minutes later, they were ordered out of the car. Is it fair to say there was nothing on their person to conceal? Weapons can be concealed in a lot of places, ma'am. I couldn't say whether they could or could not, or what they were particularly wearing. You did see the body cam video when he is ordered out of the car. He is wearing swim trunks. Yes. Megan told you that she had never seen a gun in the car or on the person of anyone who was in the car. Correct. Correct. And she also told you that Tory seen shot after the shot, like he couldn't believe that he shot her. Correct. Yes. And both Tory and Kelsey got out of the car and came to her aid. Right. Yes. And she told you that Tory said, please don't tell anybody. I'm already on probation, correct? Yes. But he wasn't on probation, was he? Not that I could find. No. Did you form any opinion about the truthfulness of Megan saying that Tory would say he was on probation when he wasn't on probation? I could not see that he was on probation, ma'am. But you did. But did you form any opinion about her saying that he said something like that when he wasn't on probation? It was inconsistent, the detective said. Did you believe everything that she told you? Objection, relevant. Overruled. The witness, I believe in my experience, it's difficult to believe everything that any victim or suspect says completely 100%. Fair enough. We established that you were assigned this case 2 days after the incident, correct? Yes. When you got the file, I'm assuming you read the report of officers Lynn and Cabral on the scene shortly after the incident. Yes. So you were aware that Mr. Kelly had told them that he saw 2 females physically fighting, correct? Yes. And you were also aware that the report says that their investigation revealed a physical altercation between Harris and Peterson, a current unknown suspect fired approximately 5 rounds. Yes. Why did you exclude all of that information from your first report on July 16th and instead write that Tory and Megan were involved in a verbal argument? My report is in reference to my investigation that I conducted, which included the interview that I conducted with Megan, which that was her statement. Why didn't you include anything about Mr. Kelly's observations in your first report? The phone call that I had with Mr. Kelly is notated in the report. In the first report, whenever I spoke to him was the only time that I spoke to him on the phone is in that report. Well, in your first report of July 16, 2020, and I believe that's the date in which you spoke with him, I don't believe you mentioned anything about what Mr. Kelly told you about the 2 girls fighting. I disagree. Okay. Did you have an opportunity to watch the body cam footage of the officers attempting to interview Mr. Peterson at the jail? Yes. And so you heard him say, I was just trying to protect my girl. This is what Tory is telling the detectives. Objection, Ms. Todd says, I will object as to double hearsay at this point. The court object to what? Objection, hearsay, overruled. I don't specifically remember statement, ma'am. Did you see the body cam footage of his arrest where she says he was trying to get his girl to safety? I saw a lot of the body cam footage. Did you hear him say that? I don't recall that specific statement. Did you hear him say, I was just trying to help my girlfriend? I don't recall, ma'am. Did you hear him say, I was just trying to help my shorty? No, ma'am, I don't recall. That's why none of those statements are in any of your reports, because you don't recall him saying those things. That would have been something that would have been annotated in the responding officer's report if it was relevant. There's gunshot residue on Tory's and Kelsey's hand, correct? According to the report, yes. You have learned that Kelsey and Megan no longer friends, correct? Yes. Up to this night, they have been close friends for more than 7 years, right? Yes. And Kelsey also had been Megan's assistant, correct? Yes. Yet they stopped their friendship immediately following this incident, right? I'm not aware of exactly when, but from my understanding, sometime around there, yes. Now, the bullet fragments, which were allegedly removed from Megan's ankles, they can't be located, correct? Correct. And you indicated that you reviewed the medical reports from Cedars, or at least some of them, yes. Did you read the report that recalled finding superficial injuries? Yes. Miss Holly, nothing further. The court, Miss Todd, redirected examination. Now, gunshot residue, when it returns positive, it is indicative necessarily of a shooter, or oh my God, is this tight reporter? How they got this shit going? Like, I can't read it. Okay, let me see. So basically, as you heard, damn, I ain't had a report up there. My fault. So basically, as you heard, That was the preliminary hearing. Okay. That was the preliminary hearing. So the detective did a sloppy investigation. Took Megan's words, but didn't take Megan's words. Because out of everything that she told you, you left some things out. And then out of things that Sean Kelly told you, you left some things out. The inconsistencies about who was arguing and who she was arguing with and this and that. So many inconsistencies, right? So let me see if I can pull this up. I ain't gonna pull the other ones up because they like 466 pages. Hold on. Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, let me pull this up right here. I want to pull Okay, I want to pull this article up from July 16, 2020. It's by TMZ. Tory Lanez allegedly opened fire on Megan Thee Stallion early Sunday morning after arguing with her and her friend, according to sources directly connected to the investigation. We're told the argument started after the group left the Hollywood Hills party together in a chauffeur-driven SUV, and at some point, Megan and her friend Kelsey Nicole wanted out of the vehicle. Our sources say Tory opened fire from inside the vehicle and allegedly hit Megan in the feet twice. TMZ broke the story. LAPD pulled over Tory's ride a short time later. Megan's feet were clearly bleeding on the sidewalk as she followed police instructions to exit the vehicle. Now listen to how that sounds. Only in the court of law do you get the facts of stuff, and sometimes exaggerated stuff and sometimes false information. But don't this article and TMZ's source sounds like the same shit that Megan told police, which came out in court during the preliminary hearing. The same shit about him in the car, being in the back of the car, shooting from inside the vehicle. Their article sounds exactly the same of what Megan told the police. Okay. Now, Tory was arrested for possession of a concealed weapon. As for why he hasn't been booked for the last shooting, sources connected to Tory say there are mitigating circumstances. Based on what we know, we believe he's going to say it was an accidental shooting. Also, the initial reports to cops was someone had fired a gun into the air, not at someone. Megan initially told police she had cut her feet on glass, but remember, she's the victim in this case, as police had listed her from the start. It's entirely possible she felt intimidated as an alleged domestic violence victim. There's also, there's also this complication. Witnesses are not cooperating with police up to this point, according to the law enforcement sources. And without witnesses who are willing to testify, it might be hard to prove the case against Tory. However, we're told police have been notified that there is a cell phone video of the shooting. Our law enforcement sources tell us they have not put eyes on that video yet. Again, witnesses have been difficult, but obviously, if they do see it, it could dramatically change the case. When a motherfucking video at what a cell phone video footage at. So y'all forgot about this article from 2020 by TMZ. Still up on the website for you to go view and see. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So at the end of the day, I feel like that, and from my understanding, it was a 66-page habeas corpus motion that was filed the other day on behalf of Tory Lanez, and today there was an update that the appeals court has approved his habeas corpus claim, and they say there is good cause to review that motion. And based off the review of that motion, they will make a determination if they will release him from prison or not, based off Jaquan's statement being that he was the driver of the vehicle, and he has proof that he wanted to give this statement at trial, but the DA was not ready to cross-examine him. Now, it's a difference when the DA say, hey, he can't be found, or he's missing, or this. No. He has proof that the DA did not want to call him, or did not want the defense to call him at trial because they was not ready to question him. They was not ready to cross-examine him, which sounds dumb to me. And I feel like Tory attorney should have fought more for him to even be allowed to testify whether the DA was ready or not. You get what I'm saying? So once the Court of Appeals review this motion, this habeas corpus, it might be some breaking news going down, and Tory Lanez may be walking out them doors, because this was a setup from the beginning. And then in one of the during the trial, one of the witnesses could not remember something that Kelsey could not remember what she had told the police in her interrogation interview. She kept changing the story. She kept saying that she was lying. She kept saying that she made several claims that was not true that day. Then she went and pled the fifth. So the district attorney played the audio to her interrogation video in front of the jury, and it was not even admissible in court. Like, you cannot play a recording in open court in front of a jury if it's not admissible. And not only that, even if it is admissible, you will have to get the video transcribed, and it will have to be on a transcript, and you have to read from it. And so when Tory's attorneys objected to that, the judge was like, well, Judge Hereford was like, well, this is a better way to do it. It's an easy way to do it. It's a quicker way to do it. You can't do it this way, or we can do it this way, just quicker this way. But if Kelsey wanted to backtrack on what she had said in her interrogation video, the DA wanted to sneak in that recording so that she can prove to the jury, don't let her fool y'all. She told us this in her interview, and we got it, and they played it. So Tory's attorneys argue that there are court rules, bitch, that your motherfucking ass cannot play a recording in open court for the recollection of a witness if it's not admissible. And if it is admissible, then it has to be transcribed, and they have to read from it on a paper. And the jurors and everybody in the courtroom has to have a copy of it. And I Googled it and I looked it up, and it literally said that. And the judge violated that. And I feel like on that basis alone, that's a whole, throw the whole case out. Prosecutors didn't clean up their mess. And now Megan, she is in her feelings, and she getting upset, and she's scared because Jaquan's statement is done, signed, sealed, delivered. What happened? Because everybody gave a statement, except for Tory. I don't think Tory spoke to the police at all, but everybody in that car at some point gave their story, except for Jaquan, and he was the last person. And this story deserves credibility because he was there, and there's no proof that it was paid off and that, he's lying. But at the end of the day, let me say this. I feel like that if Jaquan Smith would have testified, and his testimony would have been this testimony that he put in his affidavit, I feel like that the jurors would not have been able to come to a conclusion as to who shot Megan. I feel like it would have been a hung jury. But they only heard one side of the story. You get what I'm saying? But the other side of the story that matched They hadn't talked to Jaquan. They didn't really care about Jaquan. They just didn't want his story to get on that stand. For whatever reason, if Kathy Tottenham took a payment, whoever took a payment, they wanted to stop Jaquan from getting on that stand. But everybody has an appeal process. And an appeal can overturn your whole case. That's how Bill Cosby got out of jail. He had already made a deal with a prosecutor that stated that if he testified in civil court to the accusations and admit to it, they would not prosecute him. And they still did it anyway after he agreed to that deal that he would testify and he would not be prosecuted. So when the appeals court got his case and his lawyer submitted that agreement, the appeals court overturned it and reversed the whole trial and set him as a free man because there was already an agreement. So the appeals court looked at the law and how evidence and what the judge and what the lawyers object to and what the judge overrule and sustain. They look at all court errors. And one thing they're going to want to know is why wasn't Jaquan Smith allowed to testify if he was a witness and not ready to cross-examine you is just not a valid reason. The appeals court is going to find that. They're going to find in that. They're going to read the inconsistencies in the statements. They're going to read everybody's statement. Everybody that testified, they're going to read all 466 pages of this one trial on day one. They're going to read the testimony. They're going to read the witnesses. They're going to read the questions that the lawyers asked and the answers. And they're going to ask questions. Well, detective, why didn't the detective answer, follow up? Why didn't the detective? They're going to look at that because when you conduct an investigation, you have to meet every element of the charge before you charge someone. If you meet 2 out of 3 elements, you can't charge them. You have to meet every element. The jurors cannot find you guilty of crimes if the DA did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt all elements in the charge. Okay, so when Tory Lanez attorneys argue that this information was not allowed or the judge didn't allow this on the basis of this, and this is exculpatory evidence, Jaquan was exculpatory evidence to the case. And Tory Lanez has a 14th Amendment right to present evidence that exonerates him from charges that are filed against him. We all have that right. So they're going to read his side and they're going to read the evidence that they present, and they're going to read the DA's side, and then they're going to read the evidence that was allowed in trial and the evidence that was denied. But any person coming to a conclusion of this would say, somebody shot her, but you can't say it's Tory Lanez. That would have been my conclusion, and that is still my conclusion. Somebody shot her, but I don't believe it was Tory Lanez. If it had not been for Kelsey that night, Megan probably would have been dead. Jaquan probably would have been dead. Tory probably would have been dead that night. Where's the cell phone video footage at? Why? I mean, this. So this is what Megan had to say after Jaquan's statement got released.
Following the street code, not snitching. Are you snitching or are you not snitching? Because y'all trying to pretend like Kelsey shot me. Kelsey didn't motherfucking shoot me. And I really wonder why her main problem with me was, you won't tell people I didn't shoot you. I was like, Kelsey, I don't want to talk about this on social media at all. But now you won't even get online and defend yourself. So that really just proves my points. Either you took some money or your life is in danger. Like, why won't you get online and say, bitch, because this is what y'all care about. Y'all care about online. Because the case, if you say you didn't shoot me, why won't you get on the stand and say I didn't shoot this bitch? You said.
You see how backwards she is. You see how delusional she is. She's an actor. Oh yeah, she got on P Valley. She want to get on Zeus because her music is declining because people see what's going on. But you want Tory to get on the stand, which he don't have to. He has a constitutional right to remain silent. The DA has to prove the case. But you want him to get on the stand. Well, why you just didn't say Kelsey shot me? Kelsey, why you didn't just say that Tory shot me? Why you didn't just tell the police that Tory shot you from the beginning? Because had he really shot you, that would have been your statement from the beginning. It wouldn't have been no, I stepped on glass. It wouldn't have been no, I don't give a damn. Why would you give a fuck about a nigga that just shot you? I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about you. You just motherfucking shot me. Fuck you. Hand them niggas that you came with. So at the end of the day, girl, stop lying. Kelsey didn't say Tory shot her because he know or she know she had the gun first. And Tory didn't say Kelsey shot her because he know that they was over there struggling with the gun, trying to get the gun out of her hand. And he said from the beginning, I was just trying to protect my girl. That's why he went over and grabbed the gun from her. God damn it.
Online every day. You figure out how to get your niggas to say you didn't do it. You figure out how to get the blogs to say you didn't do it. But the one fucking would have mattered from was you. You should have said, I didn't do it. Kelsey did it. If she did it, why wouldn't you just say she did it? Kelsey, if you did not do it, why won't you just say, I did not do it? I know who shot me. I said who shot me, and that's why the fuck you in jail. Y'all motherfuckers are dragging it online like it's some new evidence. There's no new evidence. Motherfucking witnesses went missing. Why? I wonder why the witnesses went missing. Did y'all pay them? Why y'all showing up now? Why y'all showing up? It's about to be 2024. Y'all still fucking with me. Y'all are still fucking with me. Why? Because y'all see me moving on and doing better. Y'all see me trying to heal and trying to grow. But y'all keep trying to bring me back this way when I'm trying to go this way.
Here. All right, y'all. Sorry, I had to mute it real quick. I was on a phone call. All right, so I'm finna put up here these documents with Tia that shows you the update in Tory's case after they filed that habeas corpus the other day, and the appeals court has responded. Jaquan's statement was included in that. Hold on, I put the wrong thing up there. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, here you go, right here. Hold on. Let's see what the update is. Okay, the update is in the Court of Appeal of the State of California, Second Appellate District Division 3, Daystar Peterson on habeas corpus. The court, we have read and considered the petition of writ of habeas corpus filed on December 12, 2023. Good reason appearing, the petition will be considered together with petitioner's pending appeal in case number B331774. The Attorney General is directed to serve and file points and authorities on or before the due date for the responder's brief and the above referenced appeal discussing whether an order to show cause should issue. Petitioner may serve and file a reply on or before the due date for the appellate's reply brief in the above referenced appeal. So they have accepted his habeas corpus to get out of prison. And it says, please be advised that responses have been requested by the court. Woo, 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 woo. So I think Tory Lanez may be coming home. Okay, so we're gonna stay updated on that. And I know y'all was a little bored tonight. I know y'all don't want to hear about this. It's okay. But you got to get stuff out there to support people that are wrongfully convicted. But I'm doing a big story on this, so I'll be able to put the 466 page everything in a story, so y'all will be able to read it. All right, you'll be able to read it. You'll be able to go up there and see. But Megan, girl, we think that you lying about Tory shooting you. You don't know who shot you. Jaquan said that he don't know who shot you. Okay, but he do know that Tory ran to go try to get the gun out of Kelsey's hand. And it went off. And I know you would be mad that a man that you was in love with exposed to your best friend that you backdoor her again. So you woke up one night and one morning you say, you know what, I'm going to get that nigga. I'm going to say Tory shot me. That's what I'm going to go with. You shot. Tory shot. You shot me. Tory, you shot. That's what you was mad. You was mad because he was finna get that booty from Kylie Jenner that night. He was already getting it from Kelsey. Huh. But then you was trying to get you some. You was jealous, full of liquor, drunker than a Cuda Brown. And Kelsey got so mad because you did it to her again that she was about to shoot your ass. And Tory came and saved your life. And that's what his story been the same time. Innocent. I'm innocent. I was just trying to protect my girl. He was trying to protect you from Kelsey shooting you. And you put him in prison for 10 years because he told on you. He told Kelsey that y'all was fucking. You backdoored her again. Everybody ain't lying. You don't fell out with everybody. You ain't got no friends, girl. Where's your friends at? How you gonna come back from this if the appeals court release this man? What will your career look like? You know what people gonna say? They're gonna be like, girl, it's all right, victim. This happened to victims all the time. This happened to victims all the time. All the time, this happened to victims. But they don't never think about the person that they support in line. This happened all the time. We don't never get no justice. All of them lesbians saying all that shit. But anyways, thank y'all so much for tuning in on tonight. Appreciate y'all. But y'all have a good night tonight. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I might do a live tomorrow. Don't quote me on it. Please don't quote me on it. Don't hold me on it. Just he might. Gerald said he might. Don't quote me on it. 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 So I just want to come live tonight and talk about this just a little bit for the hoes. You know, I ain't gonna roast this hoe down to the ground like I wanted. Yeah. Yeah. I ain't want to roast her down, you know, to the ground like Ooh. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on tonight. Make sure y'all subscribe to the NCB. Make sure y'all follow. Okay, so you can get all the latest teas. Okay. All right. Good night, y'all.